As children, we always wanted to be one of the grown-ups. That feeling is universal. Grown-ups can drive cars and drink beer. They're the big kids that we all referred to when we were in elementary school. We saw them making their own money at their jobs. We would put on our mother's heels, makeup, and clothing, or our dad's dress shoes and ties, wanting to be just like them as soon as possible. Those must be 18 or over to call infomercials were the bane of our existence because we wanted all of those things, but being 18 was so far away it was unbearable. But then, suddenly, we were able to drive. We were the big kids. We could vote, buy cigarettes, and eventually legally drink. But were we actually adults yet? When did that coveted title become ours? Our parents still treated us as children, but we were old enough to drink legally. It's just not fair. In this film, I will try to discover if there is some sort of milestone we must reach in order to become a true, real-life adult, and if it happens the same in other countries all around the world. Aspects of adulthood that I will be looking into are the legal driving age, the legal drinking age, average ages of both high school and undergraduate students upon graduation, whether or not you have to do mandatory military service, and the average ages of people who get married. In Argentina, the legal driving age is 18, and the legal drinking age is 18 as well. However, according to the individuals who I spoke with, if your family permitted you to drink earlier, as well as drink for religious purposes, that is not considered illegal. In urban environments, because of the expense of a car, many do not pursue obtaining their licenses, while in rural settings, people would often drive at a much younger age without licenses at all. Those who graduate from high school will do so around the ages of 18 or 19. Sadly, Argentina has a high dropout average, so many do not actually end up graduating, usually due to money issues within their family. Those who do not graduate from high school and who wish to continue on into college usually only do so if they come from a very financially secure family and are able to afford the expense. If they do, in fact, attend college, they will normally do so right after high school and will attend for 4 or 5 years. For marriage, the legal age of consent with parental permission is 15, and without parental permission is 19. However, the majority of people will marry at some point between 25 and 35 years of age, but there are still, as always, instances of older marriages. When asked what the common opinion was of a person needing to become an adult, the individuals who I talked with said that usually a person from a richer family is considered an adult after they break off on their own and support themselves with a job and have enough money to live in their own house or apartment. A person from a poorer family, on the other hand, will usually have started working at the age of roughly 15, after most students have dropped out of high school. They are normally considered adults when they have the means to not only support themselves, but a family as well, and usually at that point they will start looking for marriage. After they achieve the marriage milestone, they are then considered an adult. In Brazil, the countrywide legal driving age is 18, but according to the individual I spoke with, a huge factor holding back many from obtaining their licenses, especially within urban environments, is the fact that the government officials who administer the driver's test are often incredibly corrupt and will only grant you your license after an obscenely huge bribe from you. Because of this, only richer people can obtain their licenses. Also, the countrywide poverty level is enormous, so many people cannot afford to have cars, and many in rural environments that do have cars will drive those without their licenses at varying ages. The legal drinking age is 18. However, certain provinces have recently raised the age to 19. Also, the laws and punishments related to drinking and driving are much more severe currently than they were 2 years ago. Many students who end up graduating from high school will do so at around the age of 17 or 18. However, Brazil rates the lowest in the world in high school student retention. Only the richest people from the most well-off families can afford to finish high school. Many students from lower-income families will usually drop out by the age of 10 in order to help out their families. If a student does in fact complete high school and wishes to continue on into college, there are several obstacles first. Brazil has very few colleges, and those colleges are both highly elite and ridiculously expensive, making them very difficult to get into. To further hinder, the admissions process involves needing to pass a test, the vestibular, in order to prove that you know enough to attend the college. Preparing for the vestibular will often include several years' worth of preparatory school after high school, which also costs a great deal of money. Students may not end up getting into college until the age of 25 or even later if they can afford it. but once they do, they will graduate an average of 4 years later. Brazil requires that all men between the age of 21 and 45 will do at least 9 to 12 months' worth of military service. After that, they may choose to continue on as a professional soldier with a salary. The longer you remain in the service, the higher ranked you will become. Women may voluntarily join and progress like men as professional soldiers, but only within the Women's Reserve Corps. The age of consent in Brazil is 14 with parental permission and 16 without parental permission, but the average age of marriage is at some point between 20 and 30 years of age. There are very harsh laws against rape and molestation, but the sad aspect is that they usually cater for the advantage of the white population. More often than not, white men will rape the young native Indian girls and not suffer any consequences whatsoever, while the young girls will usually end up getting pregnant and having their first child before they are 14. According to the man I spoke with from Brazil, adulthood is a very difficult concept. It depends on if you come from a richer family or a poorer family. If you come from a rich family, once you begin a job and are living on your own and able to support yourself, you can be considered an adult. If you are from a poorer family, as a female, adulthood can often begin at the birth of your first child. Other individuals will gain the title of an adult usually once they have married. In India, you can get your license at different ages, depending on the vehicle you plan on driving. If you plan on driving a motorbike, which is under 50 cc's, you may get your license at 16, but for an actual automobile, it is 18. India has a large percentage of its population that does not consume alcohol due to religious reasons, but there are still legal drinking ages. The ages vary by region, usually dependent upon the local rulers, but they are the highest in the world. The legal drinking ages will usually range from the age of 25 to 30 years of age. High school education is split into two different forms, public high school and private high school. Only the very wealthy can afford to go to private high schools, so the poorer of the population will go to public, but there is a large number of dropouts. If you attend the public high school and you actually graduate, you will usually do so around the age of 18, and if you graduate from a private school, you will do so at about 17. Students who graduate from public high schools very rarely attend college because of the money it costs to afford to go. More presently, the number of lesser income families who can afford college is increasing, so more students from poorer families are attending college. Most of the programs will last 4 years, having the students graduate at about 22, but some do not end up graduating until as late as 25. The population of India is so large that they do not have any need for conscription for military, so any male above the age of 18 may join voluntarily. The average age of marriage in India is slowly but steadily rising. In the past, legal marriages would occur at 16 for women, and there was an unknown amount of illegal child bride marriages. More modernly, marriages will occur around the age of 25 for females, but the ages for the men can still be highly varying, from men being in their late teens up until even their early 60s. Arranged marriages are still a huge practice, but there is a greater percentage of unarranged marriages with each year that passes. According to the woman I communicated with in India, the concept and label of adulthood will depend on your social class. In the higher social classes, finishing your education, getting a career, and establishing yourself financially is how you achieve adulthood, while in the lower classes, it is achieved by starting a job as soon as you can. Also, women traditionally were not considered adults until marriage, and an unmarried woman was considered a burden to her family. However, modernly, more women are pursuing their education and careers, so they achieve adulthood in the same way men do if they are from the upper classes. In lower classes, though, marriage still seems to be the gateway. The legal age for driving in Norway is 18, and much like America, those who are of age normally get their licenses, regardless of if they own a car or not. The legal drinking age is split into two groups. At the age of 18, you can drink beer and wine, and at the age of 21, you can drink harder spirits. At the age of about 13, students attending school in Norway will split into two branches of high school. If a person is planning on going to college, they will go off to a high school that is more educational, and if they plan on entering into the workforce, they attend a more vocational high school. Both of these schools usually track students to graduate at around 18 or 19 years old. For those students who go to college, the amount of time before graduation is determined by the major that you are taking. For instance, a psychology degree can be earned in as little as a semester, while others can take up to 6 years. All males between the ages of 18 and 44 have compulsory military service for a span of 12 months. Many men tend to do this after they graduate from high school, before college or the workforce. After your 12-month stay, if you do not choose to remain in the military, you are held on mandatory reserve force until the age of 60 in case of war. The legal age for marriage in Norway is 18, but much like the United States, people tend not to marry until the ages of 25 to 30, and there are always cases of older marriages. According to the man I spoke with in Norway, because so many people do the military service after high school graduation, the title of adult is usually gained after they complete their 12-month service, especially for those who enter the workforce and start making a living and supporting themselves. However, if a student who goes to college is still not considered an adult, once he or she graduates from there and gets their job, then adulthood is reached. In the Netherlands, the legal age for driving is 18, but you are still considered a junior driver until you are 25. The legal drinking age is 16 in public, but many children will start younger within their families, often with wine or beer at meals. Because the drinking age is so much younger than that of the driving age, the laws for drinking and driving are strict and, if broken, will often entail very harsh legal punishments. This is also the reason that drivers are considered junior drivers until the age of 25. Students will have different lengths of high school, so therefore different graduation ages. Students do not attend a middle school after elementary school, but instead they go straight to one of several different high school choices, depending on what they are planning on doing after they graduate. Each high school has a different length of years and covers different subject areas. Programs can last between 4 and 6 years, making graduation ages 17 through 19. Many students will attend college right after high school, but the rate at which they graduate varies, similarly to the United States. However, most tend to graduate by the age of 23. Military service is voluntary, and you are eligible to do so at the age of 20, regardless if you are male or female. The legal age consent for marriage is 18, but if you want to get married younger, you need the permission of a legal representative of the civil court. Most people, however, will end up getting married between the ages of 25 and 30, though older people will still get married. It was the combined opinion of the 3 women who I talked with in the Netherlands that many people are considered adults after they get their degrees and begin working and supporting themselves on their own. They also agreed that if a person did not attend college and entered into the workforce, then they would be considered adults as soon as they made enough to support themselves on their own. On August 16, 2011, the legal driver's age of New Zealand was changed from 15 to 16, along with more difficult driver's tests and stricter regulations. The legal drinking age was changed from 20 to 18 in 1999, but presently there is a movement to bring it back up to 20. Students will graduate high school upon the completion of their 13th year, normally at the age of 18. Students who are not entering into the workforce will attend college and graduate usually. There is no mandatory military service in New Zealand, but you may voluntarily join at the age of 17. If you join at the age of 17, then you will not be deployed until you are 18 or older. The legal age of marriage with parental consent is 16, and without parental consent is 18. However, many people will not get married until they are 24 to 30. The 2 women that I spoke with from New Zealand believe that you are not able to be considered an adult until you are living on your own and supporting yourself with a job, regardless of if that happens after you graduate from high school or college. They also believe that if you join the military, that gave you enough clout to have earned and achieved adulthood. With all of this data, the trend I was seeing develop was that a person would be considered an adult once they had the employment and the financial means to support themselves. Participation in military service usually also gave you the ability to be considered an adult. Here in the United States, I interviewed just over 50 people of varying ages, ethnicities, and genders. The vast majority of them seemed to agree with the trend I had been observing around the globe, that once a person was earning a living and supporting themselves fully, independently, they were truly an adult.